Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
हाँ सर.
Yes, okay, fine. So, I am Dr. Pragya Saurabh from Mansaro Global University, Madhya Pradesh, and I will be talking on sacred groups and their role in agrobiodiversity conservation. So, sacred group is a group of trees of special religious importance to a particular culture. According to Hughes and Chandran, sacred groups are defined as segments of landscape containing trees and other forms of life and geographical features that are delimited and protected by human societies, because it is believed that to keep them in a relatively undisturbed state is an expression of important relationship to the divine or to nature. So why are these sacred groups important? Since several plants and animals that are concentrated in the forest are still well conserved in some of the sacred groups, several medicinal plants that are not found in forests are abundant in the sacred groups. Rare, endangered, threatened, endemic species are often concentrated in sacred groups. So here is an example of plant endangered species, that is Schimia and belonging to family Rutaceae. It is commonly known as Kedarpati, found in Uttarakhand. It is an endangered species. However, it is found in the Ara Barsu of Uttarakhand. Barsu, in generally, that is a common term in Uttarakhand for a sacred group. And its leaves are offered to Lord Shiva there. Then this another plant, this is also Inula racemosa of family Asteraceae, which is commonly known as Puchkar Mool. It has also many used in many religious ceremonies. Then this plant is Lilium polyphyllum, belonging to family Liliaceae, which is found in the within the vicinity of Gangotri temple. It is also an endangered species, and it is one of the component of its tuber is one of the component of Chyawanprash. So these are some of the examples which are rare species, but they are commonly found there in sacred groups of the either in temple groups or such groups. Then there are some rules of sacred groups, like cutting trees is strictly prohibited with rare exceptions for temple maintenance or specific community rituals. Hunting and killing animals or birds within the group is forbidden, as they are often considered to be under protection of the local deity. Exploitation of forest resources for commercial purposes is typically not allowed. However, honey collection and deadwood collection sometimes allowed on sustainable basis. Many groups prohibit wearing of suits and some forbid entry to the outsiders also. It is mandatory that group is always kept clean. To urinate or to defecate within the group is not allowed. So there are various kinds of sacred groups, like temple groups, there are traditional sacred groups, then there can be religious groups, island groups, or burial or cremational groups. Then the temple groups are associated with some temples due to their religious importance. Generally, they are protected by the government, the temple trust, or village committees. They contain wide range of plants and animals. Then there are traditional sacred groups. These are places where the folk deities reside, like Potaparaju, Yelamma, Grama Devatallu, that is in Telangana, Kavus in Kerala, or Gumpa groves in Sikkim. They also contain a wide variety of plant and animal life. And there are the religious groups which are associated with some religion like Hinduism or Buddhism. Traditionally, these are protected by local communities through religious beliefs and customs rather than by formal government legislation. Then there are island groups which can be categorized based on the habitat type, specific ecological importance. Then there the groups associated with burial places are popularly called cremational or memorial groups. These groups are regarded as places of reverence for the deceased and believed to be inhabited by the spirits of ancestors. They are spiritual or religious purposes and are protected as a way to honor the dead and maintain a connection with them. There is an example from Thane district. There is a village called the Harza village in Thane, where there are over 85 stones which are dedicated to the family members of the villagers. These are some of the documented. This table shows the documented sacred groups and their local terms. The highest number of sacred groups is in Maharashtra, then followed by Karnataka. Now we come to the significance of sacred group. Why is it important? The local communities that manage sacred group often causes a deep understanding of the local ecology and traditional practices that have been passed down through generations. This knowledge can be valuable for informing conservation efforts for future generations. Then the sacred groups are often managed by local communities, which supporting the conservation of these areas can help to empower these communities and give them a greater role in decision making about their natural resources. And it has some biological value also. The access to sorry access access to the interference with sacred groups has been culturally restricted and thereby reduce the human impact in terms of harvesting of natural resources. The consequence of such restriction has been that sacred groups have evolved as important reservoirs of biological diversity and permitted the complex and diverse array of ecological processes to continue uninterruptedly over a long period of time. Many sacred groups constitute pristine vegetation and are particularly rich in trees and associate groups of organisms like epiphytes, amphibia, etc. Then a number of studies have emphasized that many sacred groups are climax forests and probably constitute the only representative of natural vegetation in many parts of India. Such island of climax vegetation amidst a degraded landscape can be seen in many parts of Western Ghats, Koraput and Kalahandi districts of Orissa and Southwest Bengal. Several studies have shown that many groups in Meghalaya, Kerala, Maharashtra, Himachal Pradesh harbor rich flora and faunal diversity. Pushpa Gandan demonstrated that the biological spectrum of groups in Kerala closely resemble the typical spectrum of tropical forest diversity. For example, the sacred group occupying about 1 kilometer, 1.4 kilometer square contained 722 species of angiosperm, compared with 960 species occurring in 90 kilometers square of Silent Valley forest. Then, with the continuing destruction of the forest all around them, the sacred groups have become fragmented habitats housing a variety of genetic pools and become the last refuge for many threatened, endangered, and endemic plant and animal species. Tree species like Koiba hansiana, which is a endangered species, then Rose hukerai or Nicosia placata, where these also endangered, have been found to be well represented in sacred groups of Manipur. Syzygium travancoricum, which is an endemic tree in South Kerala, has totally been limited from its type locality. Today, only a few plants are reported in some sacred groups of Pathamita district and in marshlands of Pinon Ashram in southwestern Ghats of India. Harshan Rao reported around 50 endangered species in sacred groups of Meghalaya. Then the sacred groups of Kerala also found to harbor a number of plant species that are wild relatives of many crop species. These wild relatives are important for improving the cultivated variety of plants. Then sacred groups in general act as nursery and storehouse of many of the Ayurvedic tribal and folk medicines. Species not under any immediate risk of extinction, if preserved in sacred groups, may have potential of diverse uses in the future. These sacred groups may also serve to preserve genotypes, which may be useful in forestry breeding programs. And the sacred groups are also of great forestry interest as indicators of the natural productivity of the region. Ecologically valuable species like Albizia lebec and Ficus glomerata, which conserve high amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, magnesium, calcium in their leaves, are found in several groups of Manipur. Keystone species that contribute to the maintenance and enhancement of biodiversity are also species that are socially valued by local communities for cultural and religious reasons and often found in sacred groups. In Orans of Rajasthan, Orans is a local term there in Rajasthan for sacred group. Prosopis cineraria, which is commonly known as Khejri, is a keystone species inseparably linked to the survival of many other species and occupies a special position in Rajasthani culture. So, Kunstelia carolensis, a climbing legume reported from sacred group in Kerala, is a species found only in that sacred group. Belparastema membranifolia, Bachnania, lanceolata, and Cesium travancoricum are rare species which is found only in the sacred group. Then Mohanan has also discovered a rare species, Cinnamomum pilosis, in some caves of Alappuzha district of Kerala. This caves is also a local term for sacred groups, which is called in Kerala. Then Kalabekan sacred group in Kumta Taluk, Karnataka, over 550 hectares in extent, despite being in the midst of ericanate species gardens of populated village. It is rich in endemics like wild nutmeg, cinnamon, garcinia, gumma and wild pepper. Many animal species, including birds that are otherwise threatened or becoming rare, find a safe refuge in many of these sacred groups. The Orans in Rajasthan, managed by Bishnoi Group, provide protection to the gazelle, blackbuck, and to many migratory birds. A similar study by Deb et al. Has also shown that number of local bird species find refuge exclusively in relic sacred groups of West Bengal. So the sacred groups also provide various ecological services like it can hold water resource in the form of spring, ponds, lakes. Not only that, but the vegetative mass of the group itself retains water, soaking it up like a sponge during wet periods and releasing it slowly in times of drought. So it is evident that one of the important ecological roles of these groups is to provide more dependable source of water for the organisms living in and around the sacred groups. The ponds and streams that joining the groups are often perennial and in some cases act as the last resort to many of the animals and birds for the water requirements, especially during summer or dry seasons. Another function may be to reduce the incidence and the intensity of forest fire, at least in some climates. In addition, transpiration from the sacred groups vegetation would increase atmospheric humidity and reduce temperature in immediate vicinity and produce a more favorable climate for many organisms. Then another role is that it plays a crucial role in soil and water conservation and in nutrient cycling. The Mausami sacred group in Cherrapunji ecosystem receive very high rainfall with a rapid litter decomposition rate. Nutrient release in the soil of these groups is very high. The fine root mat developed on the layer of soil is important for supporting large everground biomass and for tight cycling of nutrients. Many microorganisms, invertebrates flourish, and a vast variety of species not indigenous to the group may also colonize and thrive. The root mat prevents the nutrient from leaching out. The land surrounding the sacred group in this area, which is devoid of necessary root mat, and litter decomposition can no longer sustain vegetation. So all of these factors indicate that conservation of sacred groups is essential for maintaining local diversity, the comprehensive health of landscape, and preserving the socio-cultural integrity of local communities. The existing sacred groups thus provide far greater benefits than their small size would otherwise indicate. So agriculture in particular is concerned. So it groups to prevent soil erosion and maintain nutrient cycles. Leaf litter enriches surrounding agricultural fields with organic matter, thus increasing the soil fertility and crop yield. And then they act as watersheds, conserving groundwater and regulating local streams. Farmers are also benefited from reliable irrigation sources sustained by grove ecosystem. It harbors wild relatives of crops. Then these species provide a genetic material for crop improvement and resilience. And the sacred groups contribute to carbon sequestration, moderating local climate. This stabilizes agricultural productivity in surrounding areas. So this table shows the comparison of sacred groups versus conventional agricultural practices. So as you can see, sacred groups in generally enriches the soil health through leaf litter, then it increases the water availability through groundwater recharge and stream regulation. It also protects the rare and endemic species. Then it acts as a carbon storage and helps in microclimate regulation and is managed by local tradition. However, there are some threats which needs to be addressed, and so then these threats are disappearance of traditional belief systems, rapid urbanization, and developmental interventions, as you know, such as roads and dams, etc. Then one more thing that is related to religion, that is transformation of primitive forms of nature worship into formal temple worship. So then there is an increasing number of invasive species. Then there is pressure due to increasing livestock and fuel collection. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any participants have any query? Yeah. Participants have any query? So I think no one, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And now, continuing our enriching journey in the same lecture series, we are pleased to move forward with another insightful session. It is my great honor to invite our esteemed speaker, Professor Dr. Nilotpal Ghosh. He is a professor and dean, faculty of veterinary and animal science. He is a distinguished academician with a vast experience in veterinary science and traditional livestock healthcare system. Today, he will be delivering his lecture on the topic of ethno-veterinary medicine, traditional healthcare practices for livestock. Sir, we warmly welcome you. You can begin your session, sir. Nilotpar, sir. One minute.